Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have a very intriguing topic once again on the topic of physical discs. Now, if you guys missed my earlier video, if you just want to creep on that, you guys totally can, where PlayStation is actually having a little bit of an issue themselves, at least in the other foreign countries, such as like Japan, where reselling, people trying to actually own the games themselves, and kind of middle ground companies such as GameStop or, whatever it might be, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and their alternatives are not really doing so hot for some of the PlayStation games. But I want to go and then once again touch on the same exact topic, where apparently Xbox as well is falling absolutely short, where a lot of game companies are actually choosing not to go and deal with Xbox themselves, and right now Xbox is actually fully just being vetoed in the topic of Game Pass, digital downloads, and the fact that people will just not literally buy Xbox games. Now, it's a very intriguing topic, and obviously this will depend on the game itself, because I'm sure if you have like a Starfield, you have a Halo, Fable, Gears of War, any type of other big staple Xbox or Microsoft game, Call of Duty, they're probably going to end up buying them in person either way. So it's not like a full-on like outs against Xbox, but it's just a very intriguing thing to see that, well, people are just not really buying games anymore to the point where it's becoming a problem. So let's go talk about it all throughout this video. If you guys are bored, I'll probably be live up on Twitch right this second. You just want to follow down below, or same with the Twitter too as well. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. Subscribe, the notifications on, and give me your thoughts and comments all down below. So go browse through them as I'm kind of laying in my bed all comfy at night. So one big thing to note is that right now the world has been definitely skewing towards more of digital downloads. PlayStation 5 digital, Xbox Series S is pure digital, and obviously just even with a console with a disc drive. I myself have a PlayStation 5 disc edition, other people have PC stuff, whatever it might be, but when it comes to all of this, people just download games. I've always wanted to go download games. And I always had to go and sneeze too as well. I think that's kind of just someone out there going and giving me the hard blessings over here that this is the future. I don't know, whatever, I sneeze. But anyway, so when it comes to gaming as a whole, gaming is a very important thing where people like having physical copies. People care a lot about game preservation. People care a lot about actually owning something in their hands. And sometimes things like collector's editions or memorabilia or actual statues, whatever it might be, they do drive a lot of value towards people. I myself love having my old school games. I'm very proudful about this. I like seeing my old games. I like physically having my games. I like knowing that they're going to be there and accessible for as long as possible. But right now, we are actually hearing even people just saying, hey, the cold hard truth is we're not going to even maybe make our money back when we come to games like, say, Xbox, where right now there's a limited run over here for this one game called Felix the Cat. Now, you guys may or may not have actually heard of it, because it has been a pretty OG and old school character. Like, this character has been in like actual movies, TV shows, and also games too as well. So while it's not like the biggest thing of like a Spyro or like, like a Ratchet and Clank or anything else it might be, even Cuphead, but it is still a somewhat relevant also IP that is like a real thing. Like, it's a real proper game that's been around. Saying limited run gets brutally honest as Xbox misses out on 2 new ports, saying we have no option right now but to skip Xbox on the titles themselves. And this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. It's been a couple of years now since Limited Run began working with Microsoft to bring a bunch of physical Xbox releases to market, and they've seen some good examples ever since, such as Quake 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Tetris Effect Connected, and many more. So a lot of these types of terms I'm sure you guys have heard of. However, there are still times when Xbox doesn't make the cut, such as this week's recent reveals of Felix the Cat and Rocket Knight Adventures Resparked. Both of these are releasing on everything except for Xbox, and come as no surprise that Limited Run has received criticism from Xbox fans for making that decision. So right now, Xbox is the only console that is not getting this game. Like on the Switch, on PlayStation, they're going to get it. They're going to have these physical, actual rewards. Although people are now both on the calling them out, say for Xbox fans who want to buy the game, and as well just general Xbox fans as a whole that might be insulted by it, on basically complain that they're not going to have a physical copy for the game. In response to this, a couple of folks over at Limited Run have explained the reasons behind it, and they don't make for great reading. Basically, physical Xbox games fail to make enough revenue for Limited Run compared to PlayStation and Nintendo, and a digital port isn't viable as the company isn't earning anything digitally in this case. Here's what the Limited Run CEO Josh Fairhurst had to say up on Twitter after the response on this outgoing controversy. Now, this is always intriguing to see too, because it's also a very small vocal minority of people calling this stuff on out, saying if we could count on selling 5,000 plus of a title physically on Xbox, we could justify the ports without a digital stake. But we only sell these kinds of numbers on PlayStation and the Switch. Unfortunately, the vast majority of Xbox gamers are just pure digital first, which is actually kind of a somewhat big caveat against, say, Game Pass, where Game Pass as a whole is a pure digital download, cloud streaming, digital downloads, all that stuff is, well, good. Like, I like it for like accessibility and just casualness of it. I love it. I like it. But the part two of it is that, well, not every single person out there is going to be buying physical games because of that. Because if the accessibility for downloads and cloud gaming is better, no one's going to really want to go do digital. Or no one's going to do physical, I mean. And that's kind of their issue, because if they can't guarantee the profit, and like, what's the point then? Let's go and say you go and make 5,000 games total, because you maybe have to have that for Walmart, like to ship it all around the country, or like say a GameStop or whatever, or Amazon, whatever it might be. And then let's say you sell 50, because everyone's getting the game digitally. Like, that's still nice that people are getting the game in other aspects of Game Pass or digital download or whatever, but if they can't physically go and sell the copies because the demand isn't there, or as well, just more people, like let's say 90%, random number made up, 90% of people are using Game Pass or digital downloads. Well, then guess what? It's just a really, really small market where maybe it's not even worth the risk. Like, do you really want to go risk if you can make money, if you can just guarantee the game, like by, selling the source code of the game itself on either Game Pass or actual just digital download? Yeah. And if they have like the proven records for the last few games they've released, such as like, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for say PlayStation or the Switch, like they know it works. It's vibing over there. So what's the point? Saying it's not that we can't develop Xbox ports or that we're too cheap to do it. It's that we don't earn anything on the game digitally. Physical game sales are not high enough on Xbox to offset our development cost, so we have no option but to skip Xbox on these titles. That is ridiculous to go and see. This is nuts, because it's just basically saying Xbox is just not buying games. People are not buying our game enough. Now, it may just be like the niche that their game is, because it's not the biggest game out there. Like, if you give a good big release or even a third-party title, they're probably going to get sales. People are probably going to buy the game. It's going to be a good thing at the end of the day. But if you're a smaller title, this actually may just be completely not worth it. Like, you just don't have the physical copies. There's no real reason for it. Saying when we do have a reasonable digital share in our game, we're developing, we do release it on Xbox, but we have zero digital share on these ones. It's almost kind of a sad news to see, because in the future, we might see more of this, where even more and more games and game consoles are going to pure downloads or pure cloud streaming or even pure Game Pass. We'll have a lot less of the physical editions. And it's kind of the big topic of this video. Like, is that something that you yourself are okay with? I know I kind of preach like game preservation a lot, and I do like having physical copies, and I do think a lot of people in the community also share the same sentiment, where they like to have something they can hold, they like to have something they can actually touch and feel, and at the same exact time, it's like, you want it. It's like a part of a memory, like my old N64 games, GameCube games. I will always go and remember those moments as if it's something very nice. And having people only on, say, phones or only on computers and laptops, it is a more accessible and more easy vibe, but at the same time, like, this takes away a lot. And also kind of goes and shows a little bit on Xbox too. Not to go and fault Xbox so much, because we do know it's Game Pass and cloud is like their main push, but it kind of makes it kind of sad where Xbox gamers don't want to have the physical copies, or if they do, they're not really receptive about it. They don't really want to go and spend the money to go and get them, which makes me kind of sad to see. So these comments were also echoed by another limited run team member over on Reset Terra, who explained that because there is no digital share in the specific instance, a physical Xbox version would likely just lose the company money. The specific case here with these two titles is that we are not the digital publisher, and we are only getting a cut of the physical edition sales. The sales of the physical Xbox edition alone will not make up for the development cost of an Xbox version, so it unfortunately just doesn't make sense for us to do it at a loss, which makes sense company-wise. Like, I can't go and fault the company as a whole, but it's kind of sad to go and see that some Xbox games may not get the love and attention they get because of just not proper enough support, or not enough proper marketing, or just not people actually buying the game as a whole. I think it's a sad situation for sure, and I agree, but it's also an understandable one. We've known for a long time now that Xbox owners are moving away from physical purchases. After all, the Xbox Series S doesn't even have the disc drive. The good news, though, is that there's still plenty of other physical games coming out too as well from limited run, so they're not only cutting off every Xbox game, Jurassic Park Classic games, Plumber's Nowhere Ties, Gex Trilogy, I haven't heard of all those other two, but even it's interesting to go and see this nonetheless. So all around, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments that Xbox just can't sell enough to even go and release it up, at least in this specific game. Now, a few little side things too. Happy birthday over here to Phil Spencer, who has now hit his brand new birthday. Another time over here to be an Xbox head itself, and as well, we also did go and see another huge, massive update for Star Starfield. So very nice to go and see this. Another 100+ bug fixes, and although this game is still on the middle side, we are still seeing big updates with it, which is nice to go and see them still supporting the game after launch too as well. Now, there is still a lot of things I would want to go change for the game, but they are putting effort, which does make me happy to go and see. And last but not least, there was a few brand new games out over here on Xbox Game Pass, such as Super Mega Baseball and We Happy Few, because you guys do want to go check those on out as well. And some games are also going to be leaving soon, but some games like Hell Out Loose, very good games to go and see. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch down below. Probably live up on Twitch right this second, and I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here in the first place.